Have you ever had a moment that completely changed the course of your life? A chance encounter that blurred the lines between professional and personal? That's what happened to me on a rainy Friday night at Murphy's Pub. If you're enjoying this story, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more unexpected life journeys like mine. I never expected my career and personal life to collide in such a dramatic way. But sometimes, the universe has other plans, plans that begin with a whisper in a dimly lit bar and end with choices that define who we truly are. The rain pounded against the windows of Murphy's Pub as I nursed my third whiskey of the night. The amber liquid swirled in my glass, reflecting the soft glow of the bar lights. It had been the week from hell at Meridian Consulting, budget cuts, impossible deadlines, and the constant pressure from my boss, Eliza Harrington. She was brilliant but demanding, with piercing blue eyes that seemed to see right through any excuse. I'd been at Meridian for 3 years, climbing from junior analyst to project manager through sheer determination and too many late nights to count. But lately, I'd been wondering if it was worth it. My apartment felt more like a storage unit than a home, and my friends had stopped inviting me out, knowing I'd cancel at the last minute for work. Murphy's was my escape, a place where nobody knew me as the workaholic from Meridian. The bartender, Joe, knew my order and when to leave me alone with my thoughts. That night, those thoughts were particularly dark. Earlier that day, Eliza had torn apart my presentation in front of the entire team. "If this is your best work, Daniel, perhaps we need to reevaluate your position," she had said, her voice cool and clinical. I was so lost in replaying that humiliation that I didn't notice someone slide onto the bar stool beside me until I caught a whiff of familiar perfume, jasmine with hints of vanilla. My stomach dropped as I turned to find Eliza Harrington, her usually perfect bun now slightly disheveled, raindrops still clinging to her black coat. "Of all the gin joints in all the towns," she said with a small smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. I straightened immediately, nearly knocking over my drink. "Miss Harrington, Eliza," she corrected, signaling to Joe. "We're not in the office now." Joe approached with raised eyebrows. He'd heard enough of my work complaints to know exactly who sat beside me. "Macallan 18, neat," she ordered, then nodded toward my nearly empty glass. "And another for Daniel." I wanted to refuse, to make an excuse and leave, but curiosity kept me rooted to my seat. In 3 years, I'd never seen Eliza outside of work, never witnessed her order a drink or use my first name so casually. "Rough day?" I ventured, immediately regretting the question. The last thing I needed was to remind her of my professional failings. She took a long sip of her scotch before answering. "You could say that. The board rejected the expansion proposal I've been working on for 6 months. Her voice carried none of the confidence it held in the office. 3 years of planning, gone in a 15-minute meeting. I didn't know how to respond. Eliza Harrington, admitting defeat? It seemed impossible. "I'm sorry," I offered lamely. "Don't be. It's business." She finished her drink in one swift motion and ordered another. Though I suspect I wasn't the only one having a bad day. The alcohol had loosened my tongue enough that I laughed bitterly. Was it that obvious when you eviscerated my presentation? I expected her to bristle at my candor, but instead, she smiled, a genuine smile that transformed her face. "I didn't eviscerate it. I challenged it. There's a difference." Didn't feel like much of a difference from where I was standing. "That's because you take everything so personally, Daniel." She turned to face me fully. "You have potential, real potential. But you play it safe. Every proposal, every analysis, it's good work, but it's cautious. You never push boundaries." The criticism stung, but there was something in her tone that wasn't there in the office, something almost like concern. "Maybe I'm cautious because every time I try something new, it gets shot down," I countered. "By me?" She raised an eyebrow. "Especially by you." 3 drinks in, and suddenly we were having the conversation I'd rehearsed in my head 100 times but never had the courage to initiate. "I push you because I see myself in you," she said quietly. 10 years ago, I was you, talented but afraid to take risks. Someone pushed me, and here I am. Here you are, drinking away a bored rejection, I said before I could stop myself. Instead of anger, her response was a laugh, rich and unexpected. "Touché, Daniel. Touché." As the night progressed, the rain intensified, and so did our conversation. The professional walls between us crumbled with each drink. I learned that Eliza had grown up in a small town in Michigan, that she'd worked 3 jobs to put herself through business school, that she had a weakness for bad reality TV and good cheesecake. I told her about my dreams of starting my own consulting firm someday, about my sister's battle with cancer, about the novel I'd been writing in secret for years. By midnight, Murphy's had emptied except for a few regulars. Joe announced last call, and Eliza leaned in close enough that I could see the flecks of gray in her blue eyes. "Tonight's on me," she whispered, her breath warm against my ear. Then, with a boldness that shocked me, "Take me home." The words hung between us, loaded with possibility and danger. My mind raced through the company handbook, the strict policies against fraternization, the power dynamics at play, the fact that this woman had made me question my career choices just hours earlier. "Eliza, Not like that," she clarified, though something in her eyes suggested she wasn't entirely opposed to the idea. "My car's in the shop, and I don't trust the rideshare apps this late. Your place is walking distance, right? I could call a cab from there." Relief and disappointment battled within me as I nodded. "Of course." Joe gave me a knowing look as Eliza settled our considerable tab. Outside, the rain had slowed to a gentle drizzle. The streets glistened under the streetlights, and the late-night air carried the fresh scent of rain-washed concrete. We walked in comfortable silence, occasionally brushing shoulders. My apartment was indeed close, a small one-bedroom in an old converted warehouse. As we approached my building, anxiety crept back in. My place was hardly impressive, certainly not the kind of home I imagined Eliza Harrington returning to each night. "It's not much," I warned as I unlocked the door. "I'm not here to judge your interior design skills, Daniel." But as she stepped inside, I saw her taking in every detail, the overflowing bookshelf, the half-finished manuscript pages scattered on my desk, the framed photo of my family on the wall. "You weren't kidding about the novel," she said, picking up a page. "May I?" Before I could stop her, she was reading my words I'd never shared with anyone. I busied myself making coffee, trying to ignore the vulnerability of having my boss read my most private creative endeavor. "This is good," she said finally. "Really good. You don't have to say that. When have you known me to offer false praise?" She set the page down carefully. "Why haven't you finished it?" I shrugged. "No time. Work keeps me. Don't blame Meridian for your unfinished dreams, Daniel." Her voice was gentle but firm. "We all make choices about our priorities." The coffee machine beeped, saving me from having to respond. I handed her a mug, and we settled on my worn sofa. The rain had picked up again, drumming against the windows. "Can I ask you something personal?" I ventured. She nodded, cradling her mug. "Are you happy? With your life, your choices?" The question seemed to catch her off guard. She stared into her coffee for a long moment before answering. "Happiness is a luxury in our line of work," she said finally. "I'm successful. I'm respected. That's not what I asked." Our eyes met, and for the first time, I saw vulnerability in Eliza Harrington's face, a crack in the perfect professional facade. "No," she admitted. "I'm not happy. I'm lonely. I work 70-hour weeks. I haven't been in a relationship that lasted longer than 3 months in 5 years. My apartment is beautiful and empty. She laughed without humor. But I'm at the top of my field, so there's that. Her honesty stunned me. This wasn't the Eliza I knew from the office, the untouchable, unflappable executive who struck fear into junior analysts and commanded respect from everyone. Why are you telling me this? Because I see you making the same choices I made, she said. Putting work above everything else. And I'm not sure I would recommend it. Then why push me so hard at work? Because talent deserves to be challenged. She set her mug down. But there's a difference between being excellent at your job and letting your job become your entire life. I failed to learn that distinction. The conversation shifted then, becoming deeper, more personal. We talked about regrets and aspirations, about the price of ambition and the value of connection. Hours passed unnoticed as rain continued to fall outside. At some point, Eliza kicked off her heels and tucked her feet beneath her on my sofa, looking more relaxed than I'd ever seen her. The strict professional boundary between us had dissolved completely, replaced by something I couldn't quite name, not quite friendship, not quite attraction, but something equally powerful. I should call that cab, she said eventually, glancing at her watch. It was nearly 3 a.m. You could stay, I offered, immediately adding, on the sofa. It's late, and the rain. She hesitated, then nodded. Thank you. I found her a t-shirt and sweatpants to sleep in, made up the sofa with clean sheets, and retreated to my bedroom, my mind reeling from the surreal turn the evening had taken. My boss, the woman I'd alternately feared and admired for 3 years, was sleeping on my sofa, wearing my clothes. Sleep eluded me as I replayed our conversations, wondering what Monday would bring. Would we pretend this night never happened? Return to our professional roles as if we hadn't shared our deepest insecurities? Morning came too quickly, sunlight streaming through my blinds. I found Eliza in my kitchen, fully dressed in her clothes from the night before, making coffee. Good morning, she said, her professional demeanor partially restored. I hope you don't mind. I'm an early riser, even on Saturdays. Not at all. I accepted the mug she offered. About last night. Last night was. She paused, searching for the right word. Illuminating. Is that good or bad? I'm not sure yet. She smiled slightly. But I do know this, I've been thinking about what you said, about happiness. About choices. And I'm making some changes. Starting with the Anderson project. My heart sank. The Anderson project was mine, the one bright spot in my current workload. You're taking me off it? No, she said. I'm giving you full creative control. Your presentation yesterday, it was good, but safe. I want to see what you can do when you're not trying to please me. I stared at her, speechless. And I'm implementing new work-life balance policies at Meridian, she continued. Starting with myself. No more 70-hour weeks. Just like that? After one night of drinking and talking? Sometimes clarity comes from unexpected places, Daniel. She gathered her coat and bag. Thank you for the sofa, and the conversation. At the door, she paused. The novel, you should finish it. It's too good to remain just a dream. And then she was gone, leaving me standing in my apartment, wondering if I'd imagined the entire night. Monday arrived with the usual office chaos, but something had shifted. Eliza called an all-staff meeting and announced several changes, flexible working hours, a new policy discouraging emails after 7 p.m., and a complete restructuring of the Anderson project with me at the helm. Colleagues looked at me with new curiosity, wondering what I'd done to earn such favor. But it wasn't favoritism, it was something more profound. Eliza had seen something in me that I hadn't fully recognized in myself, just as I had glimpsed the person behind her professional armor. Over the following weeks, our working relationship evolved. She remained demanding, but there was a new dimension to her feedback, a genuine interest in my growth rather than just results. We never spoke of that night at my apartment, but its impact resonated through our interactions. 3 months later, I submitted my novel to a literary agent, something I would never have done before that rainy night. 6 months after that, I received an offer of publication. The first person I told was Eliza. "I knew you could do it," she said, genuine pride in her voice. We were at Murphy's again, this time by deliberate choice rather than chance. Our occasional drinks had become a tradition of sorts, a space where we could be neither quite colleagues nor quite friends, but something uniquely our own. "I wouldn't have finished it without your push," I admitted. "You would have gotten there eventually," she said. "But I'm glad I could accelerate the timeline." As we clinked glasses in celebration, I realized how profoundly that one night had changed my trajectory, not just professionally, but personally. I had learned to take risks, to push boundaries, to balance ambition with authenticity. And Eliza? She had learned to soften her edges, to find value beyond professional success, to let people see beyond the formidable executive to the complex woman beneath. To unexpected encounters, she toasted. "And the courage to see where they lead," I added. Sometimes, the most significant turning points in our lives don't announce themselves with fanfare. They begin with a whisper in a bar, a moment of vulnerability, a willingness to see someone, and be seen, beyond the roles we play. My boss saw me at a bar and whispered, "Tonight's on me, take me home." What followed wasn't a scandal or a romance, but something perhaps more valuable, a genuine human connection that reminded us both of who we were beyond our job titles, and who we could become if we dared to live authentically. And isn't that, in the end, what we're all searching for?